Bankole Odusanya is a fixed income dealer at UBA and is joining us live from FMDQ Exchange Place in downtown Lagos to look at the fixed income market week. Bankole, good morning. It's good to have you here on the program.
Good morning, Boston.
Okay, tell me, what's the big splash on your market street this week so far?
It's the CBN pronouncements concerning OMO instruments. It's big, actually. For the first time in a long while, we had OMO issue on Monday, subsequently to be followed by pronouncements by way of communique on Wednesday and Thursday. The news is that the central bank has limited individuals and corporate entities that are local to the country to playing in the Nigerian Treasury bill space. These are bills that are issued by DMO. Bills and Treasury bills that are issued by the central bank for the sake of mopping up liquidity is now exclusive to banks and foreign portfolio investors. The central bank is trying to reaffirm the status of those instruments as mop-up tool and not just an investment stock. So basically, this is affecting the market. We are seeing more demand on treasury bills that are designated or, named NTBs rather than OMO. We're seeing that there will be more interest going to other forms of money market instruments rather than just OMO, because indeed there had been a crowding out of OMO instrument compared to other money market instruments. The latest figures show that there's about 2.5 trillion of Nigerian treasury bills in circulation compared to over 13 trillion of OMO bills in circulation. So the central is redirecting that, and then it's going to have an impact on the market.
Yes, Bankole, I'm sure you have an idea of why the financial regulator is looking at this. This is preventing what the central bank, according to this, is trying to prevent individuals and corporates, locals, from being part of the primary open market operations auctions.
Yes, not just primary, even secondary. There was a clarification issued on Thursday. The initial announcement was on Wednesday, but they included secondary trade as part of the communique on Thursday. So basically, local individuals and corporates, including PFAs, are now to buy DMO instruments, that's bonds, Nigerian treasury bills offered by them, even though the volumes are not as much, just like I stated earlier. And then look at other money market instruments, including commercial papers issued by companies in Nigeria. I won't mention names, but most of the conglomerates, local conglomerates, offer commercial papers that help them raise short-term funds. So these are going to be more attractive, as PFAs and other major players will now have to seek for other investment opportunities for the short-term part of their portfolio. Of course, we have portfolio broken down into various tenors. For the short-term end, which is sometimes as large as 60-70% of their portfolio, they'll be looking at term deposits, commercial papers, bankers' acceptance, and promissory notes. These are instruments that are available but not very attractive. Right now, the central bank is pushing attention towards that.
Yes, it's because, again, if you look at the fiscal deficit financing, borrowing by the government through the central bank and using the open market operations, OMO instruments, which are very juicy in terms of what the yields are, which seems to have attracted everyone like ants to honey, to a pot of honey. That's where the central bank is saying, look, you folks can't just, everybody can't just be making money off the government, because at the end of the day, it's just about liquidity instruments, not just for trading. So this is trying to say, look, fine. You want to buy instrument, go buy commercial papers. They're all out there by industries and whatever. And then, but again, what else do you think will be the big stories for your market street next week?
Okay, because this is the first trading day post those communique. We're looking at going into next week and having a more active bonds secondary market. We are seeing interest already for 2020, 2021, and 2022 bonds that were not very active. We're seeing more interest on the short end of the bonds market. the coupon as high as 15, 14, and 16% for those maturities respectively. The last traded at 14% yield. We expect this to drop gradually as demand creeps in there. NTB instruments are supposed to drop in rate also. And for most investors, they'll be watching inflation being at 11.2. Should rates drop into single digits for Nigerian Treasury bills instrument, as low as, let's say, discount of 8%, the effective yield gets to 11. So you want to check your real rate of return on that end. And right now it's going to be competition for rates. We're going to see more activities on various portfolios and various instruments in the market, like I said earlier.
It's going to be very interesting next week. Thank you. Starting from next week. Thank you so much. Very interesting. I like interesting times. I don't just want to like it very, very quiet at the debt market. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bankole Odusanya, fixed income dealer at UBA from FMDQ Exchange Place. Let's get back to the stock market where earnings are making a big splash. Some sweet, some bitter. So we call it bittersweet earnings. And the oil marketing companies are reporting not good news on earnings as we've seen over the last 2 days. Temple Ashaju is back on the trading floor with us to wrap up the show. Temple, Total and mobile numbers, let's start with that before we get back to Airtel. Those numbers were not looking good at all.
Yeah. Well, because these are companies that, if you look at their operations, they've been recording thinning margins lately, of course, which gives the rise to the call for the removal of fuel subsidy, and that hasn't taken effect. Looks like the federal government is looking and waiting for the Dangote refinery in the Lekki deep seaport area, to come on stream before that particular removal of fuel subsidy will take place. So, and that is targeted at the year 2021. So perhaps that's the level of sentiment we'll continue to see on these particular oil and gas marketing companies, till 2021. Maybe nothing is going to change. That's the reason why we have this. A lot of investors are not really bullish on them either.
No, and we've seen the last days. I'm sure investors had an idea that these numbers weren't coming good. Most of them were just unchanged since we started the week.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't really changed. I mean, they've been, Total, for example, used to be around 200 naira, 300 naira, but it's been trading below this particular number for some time now. And we don't see that changing because look at all of the energy stocks that we've been tracking, both, and nothing has really been changing in terms of the price, whether for good or for negative at all. It tells you that investors are not giving any sort of considerations to this number, except for Forte Oil, and that's opportunity is really, really limited. They got a mandatory takeover of some 500,000 units of shares, which, of course, the qualification date expires today. So yesterday we saw a rally of some 10% on it. This morning we've seen some increased, demand on it as well. But I mean, today is the qualification, the deadline for the qualification, and just 500,000 units representing 0.04% of the entire equity stake. So there's not too much room for investors to participate in that.
Yes, but again, let's wrap it up. Tempo back with Airtel Africa. This big earnings is as big as it can get for this company. What are you hearing on the floor as we speak? and in terms of, do you think this will be a big jump? I'm not sure. A very big size of this company share is available for anyone to trade. So the volume is going to be very narrow.
No. There hasn't even been any trades or any demand for Airtel so far. If you check online on the portal of the stock exchange, there hasn't been any deal. It's still trading at 308 naira.
Everybody's holding
seen
it tight.
some bargain hunting on it a while ago. So
no, I'm sure investors. This
primary market investors are really holding it.
No. The Temple interim dividend of 3 cents per share. Everybody who is holding the shares of Airtel is not going to lock it up and put the keys in his back pocket. I know. But this is one good
that have actually got deep, volume. Yes, it is. It's very good. And I mean, if you check their operations as well, Bosin, they've signed some agreements with EcoBank recently. They've also signed just so they can have, the payments platform that they want to implement now. That agreement goes to EcoBank with that. They signed another one with Finabla. which is to promote the connectivity platform, digital connectivity platform for them. They've also reduced their debt burden. So good days ahead for them. I think the key thing now is for them to target how they can reduce the cost of data, internet access for a lot of end users. Because again, they talked about the fact in these earnings that they've been able to extend to Democratic Republic of Congo. They've been able to expand to another country in recent time, and Tanzania is also in the offing. So given the reports that came out a few weeks ago talking about how expensive data is in Africa, it behoves on Airtel at this point to find a way to reduce the cost. And perhaps that will expand and increase their growth the more in terms of financial performance going forward.
Okay, Temple, let's leave it there. Let's get some analysts to drill down again into this when we come back on Monday. Thank you so much, Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent, live to us at the trading floor of the stock exchange. Thank you, our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. Let's take a breather, take a weekend, the final weekend in October. Then we'll get back next week and we'll get started as we steamrolled into November. I'll see you then. Have a great weekend, everyone.